Welcome to Turn Up the Tech, Invision's podcast series. I'm Mark Taylor, Commercial Director of Invision, and welcome to Steve Totterdell.
Hello there.
Hi there. Steve is Invision's High Performance Audio Product Manager, and first time on. So this is an insider series. This one, but a bit inside Invision here. And I don't know, Steve, how long have you been with Invision now?
I've been here 6 and a bit years.
6 and a bit years.
Yeah,
time flies, right?
Yeah, a bit of both, really. Yeah. I mean, we have a good time here. We sell good kit, good people. So, could be a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so I think, and also you, I think most people know we're part of a larger group and business, and part of the Midwich business, and you got history there as well, Steve.
I did, yeah. I was at Midwich HQ for 6 years. So I was a product specialist. I was the first audio specialist within the head office when they branched into the world of audio.
That was Pro Audio then, was
Pro Audio and Commercial in 2011.
Was that on the acquisition that was around about the Salts?
Yeah.
RW Salt?
So they acquired RW Salt, who were in Manchester and still have an office there. But I was kind of the link between this and that new technology and those new people. So it was a little bit blind leading the blind. They're doing really well now. So
yeah, absolutely. But the main thing, here's the link, audio, and that's what we're here to talk about today. And I think for me, I was really we wanted to get to know you a bit more and sort of get out there, because audio is not just a job for you here at Invision and Midwich before and prior. Audio's a life obsession, right?
It is, yeah. And I know a lot of our dealers are the same, or come from some other angle of interest and love for audio. But for me, it was music and performing music, and that was kind of my obsession really since I was about 7 or 8. And
was it that early?
I didn't start actually playing anything. The whole idea of it was definitely rooted when I was about 7 or 8. And I think my mum wanted me to learn the classical guitar that was in the corner, and I just wasn't remotely interested really. And then when I was 11, I got an electric guitar because, obviously you want to have all tight, so it's completely different. Yeah. So and that became my life really. As football and athletics took a back seat, rock and roll came into focus, and that was my life.
So the guitar was the first one you picked up. Did you play any other instruments, or was it?
Not really. I'd like to say I played the drums, but a real drummer with.
Sure, I see your teams with drums in the background. Do I or not? Was it?
I haven't got any drums. I wouldn't be allowed any drums in my household. I've almost bought a drum kit.
I think it was that. Was it when those staff offer drum kits were around? I think that you were. That's my
so tempted.
I thought about it.
And Facebook Marketplace. There's always someone flogging off drums really cheaply. But that would just be problematic in my house.
Are you one of these people though that you can relatively pick up another instrument and sort of have an understanding of it? Because
I am, yeah. I'm not a virtuoso on anything, and I never sort of wanted to be, really. For me, the best music is conveying a song as opposed to showing off, and maybe that's just a justification for my technical limitations, but I think it's all about having a feel for it, and if you've got a feel for music, then if you've never seen a piano before or a dulcimer, then, you can still make it sound correct.
Yeah.
I think Tanita was saying to me the other day, could you play with Bon Jovi or something? It's like, well, I wouldn't want to, because that's not my cup of tea at all.
Yeah.
I could play with anyone, not necessarily copying and, mimicking what anyone's playing, but I could get up on stage and blend in or bring something without, looking foolish.
Yeah. I think because she's just giving away her music taste there as well, isn't she?
It's very
I can see her. I can see her doing it to Bon Jovi actually.
So yeah, I can hear when something's in G, or the general sort of flavour of where they're going is going to go to a C, and you just got a good feel for it really from years of it. So yeah, I got a guitar when I was 11. My best mate Rob, he got a bass guitar. We borrowed his older brother's amp, made a horrible noise in his parents' house. After a couple of years, I think we realised that I think he decided he wanted to be a drummer, and then I was like, actually, I'd rather be a bass player. I think we met one of the bigger boys who was a really good guitarist.
Okay.
So
I thought, right, I'm
made the switch, yeah. But again, what we did, we were quite practical and sensible at the time, I got to say, considering we were 15 or something. We just rehearsed, him and I, bass and drums, solidly to ground the groove and hit the basics, just so that, we'd play something for 15 minutes without doing any fills, without any runs, just keeping it really simple. And that kind of grounding was really important to playing professionally later in, both our lives. He went one way, I went another way. But
reading music, I mean,
no, can't read music. I mean, I know I can't read it. I could identify it at a snail's pace, but yeah, I can't read it. No, just
that's interesting that I found that, because my dad's a musician actually as well, and he reads music. I think his mum my gran wanted him to be a pianist, because of that time, and and he, like you, wanted to pick up the electric guitar and do it. So he was the guy in the band that could actually read the music. No one else could, but but that's because he was sort of pushed that way to do that. But it's interesting that actually you don't need to read music to be a musician, right? I'm not.
No, I mean, if you want to be if you're going to be a session musician and they only want to pay you for 1 hour to come in and do something, then you need to come in and you need to read it and you need to get it right straight away. But if you're creating something of your own, then it's not written down and doesn't, it's just different. It's more about the feel. But that's what we were. And I think because I'd started on guitar, I knew what was annoying about bass players, and him likewise as a bass player knew what was annoying about drummers. It's busyness, It's the bass and drums are the root and the rock and the solid underbelly of the sound. You can let the guitarists and the singers do the crazy stuff, but bass, the low end, is solid and shouldn't be mucked about with too much. And
I always think the bass, it makes the song, right? Because without that proper bass tune, I don't.
It does, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And bass and drums, that's what gets people dancing or moving. And we're not complicated animals. Boom. That's all you want to hear. You don't want to hear anything more complicated. But so we really studied the basics of the fundamentals, and also in the sound of what we're doing as well. So bass can be quite an overwhelming set of frequencies. The low end, if you're too loud, it's just going to obscure everything else. So you need to remember to kind of tame it, and that's kind of what I end up talking about quite a lot here as well. Bass management, just in a very different kind of capacity.
It's all about the bass right now, isn't it? So
it is. It's about the bass.
Absolutely. So what happened? So you said you went your separate ways. So you switched. You switched because the bigger boy was
the bigger boy was like, oh God, I can never play guitar like that. And it just, you kind of naturally gravitate to your correct position in the orchestra or the stage or whatever.
Was that a school band type thing?
Yeah, that was at school. And then me and Rob moved to London together with the expressed intention of finding a decent band to play with. We were from Chelmsford in Essex, and there wasn't much going on really musically, to be honest.
I guess there was the typical pub band scene, but you were probably a bit more than that.
I've never been interested in doing cover versions really.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, no. No, can't do cover versions. Don't want to do cover versions.
Yeah.
It's about being creative, I think, really.
And so you had a drummer and a bass player now.
But we knew we were really good, and we were still only 20.
Yeah.
So we knew, I don't know, you're just confident and stupid when you're young. So yeah, we moved to London, got part-time jobs, and joined a band, joined another band.
How did you find bands? Would you just go to somewhere and hang out and hope
Well, that's how it's evolved. But initially, before there was social media or anything, that's right. There used to be no social media. You used to find adverts in the back of the Melody Maker weekly music magazine, and most of them were in London. So yeah, influences the Beatles and blah blah whatever. You'd meet up and see how it went, or adverts in music shops, postcards. Sounds like ridiculous bygone age. I tell you what is ridiculous though. I mean, I was doing this in the 90s, and I guess the 90s now is regarded as how I regarded the 60s when I was doing this kind of stuff, which in my mind, it blows my mind really.
So was this at the, and I hate this term, but was this at the Britpop time, was it?
Well, yeah, very much so really. I mean, I was in a band called Swervedriver in the early 90s who were on Creation Records in the UK, which is the label that Oasis ended up signing to.
Is this are they pre or post Oasis or?
During really.
During.
I mean, they kind of finished us off in a way because they changed the whole landscape of British music really. Before Oasis, you kind of had indie guitar music was a subsection, and pop music, chart music was something else completely. And Oasis kind of flipped that. They brought loud guitars, kind of brash attitude into the mainstream. And, no hard feelings. I'm totally glad they did, I absolutely loved them at the time. For at least 2 albums, I thought they were incredible. So to have any association with that at all was great. But yeah, they definitely put a nail in the kind of path we were on.
Right.
But that was only in the UK. The UK was very fashion-led and led by journalists and the music press. In other territories around the world, America, Australia, it's much more radio-led. And because we made a good sound, regardless of pigeonhole or fashion or whatever, we'd just make a good sound. It was a good sounding band. So we still did okay in America and Australia for another 5 years or so. So yeah, that was all right. But after a while, you're either... Actually, it kind of came to a head at the very end of the 90s when we were playing in Liverpool at a place called the Black Cat, which is kind of a dump, but when everyone's having a laugh and it's busy and exciting and hot and sweaty, then it's great, which it was when we did it in 92 or 93, and then when we did it again in 98 and 99 on a Tuesday night, and it was like half full, and it was like, this really, I can't be doing this anymore.
Time to call it.
So we called it, and but then we got asked to do a month in Australia, and we're like, oh, okay. Well,
was it winter as well?
Yeah.
That sounds like, how can I get out of the country?
Yeah. So do you want to split up now, or do you want to go to Australia for November and December? And it's like, oh, okay. Well, we'll go to Australia for November and December, and then we'll split up. So it was quite nice in a way to finish. Our last gig was an outdoor gig at Margaret River in the height of summer in Australia. Absolutely brilliant. So that was a nice way to end it. And then that was it for about 9 years. Did a little bit more in the 2000s.
What do you got it? The same crew back together, or?
Yeah, so we split up then, and then we did a reunion tour in 2008, which I think, because it had kind of dissolved, as all bands do, in a kind of fractured relationships, and everyone a little bit fed up with everyone else.
That wouldn't be rock and roll without that, surely, would it? You know.
So it was quite nice that in 2008, we'd been asked a few times to think about it, and then in 2008, it seemed right to do a tour in the States for a month, and it was just the right time. We all managed to be able to do it. Actually, no. The reason we did it was April 2008. We got asked to do Coachella.
That's right.
They'd got wind that we were going to do a tour, and they were like, "Oh, we'd like you to do the first gig in 9 years at Coachella." And we're like, "All right then, and we'll pay you X amount of money." And we're like, "All right, yeah, brilliant,
okay then, yeah."
So they paid enough money for us to
warmer, better weather, yeah.
So that covered kind of us being able to refresh all our gear that had been lost or broken in the last 9 years, and then sort of kind of fund the tour that took place after that. And obviously, having real jobs and being grown-ups, I kind of did a week or week and a half for about 5 or 6 years after that. But then it was like, oh God, I can't do this anymore. But that was fine, because I'd kind of resolved it all in my mind. It's like all the there was no kind of loose ends.
So that last tour was like, that was a closing of the chapter sort of thing. Did it sort of, it meant you could move on sort of thing?
It is, yeah. So for me, it's all neat and tidy and done and dusted. Yeah. So I haven't done anything since 2014, but
you don't get the urge at all?
No, not at all. Actually, I do some recording at home, and I've done some contributions to people who are in New York or wherever, doesn't matter, You don't have to be face to face or in a room with people these days.
That's it, you don't. That's the new world, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've got some gear that I can interface at home, send the files across, and you can get stuff done that way. So never have to leave your house.
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
Yeah, which is the ideal situation for you. I know you like being at home and staying at home.
I've been at home. And I think part of that is because, we did tour an awful lot, particularly in the late 90s, because we were more popular other places than the UK.
Yeah.
We had to, So in a year we might do sort of 100 gigs, and 3 of them would be in the UK, London, Manchester and Glasgow.
So 100 gigs in a year, that would be...
Yeah, maybe maybe a dozen in Northern Europe, dozen in Australia, and then loads in America, really.
Yeah. And is that, because I know your good lady is American, is that how... So is that not a consequence, that's the wrong word, isn't it? But that is a good consequence of how...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we met in the States early on. She was in a band as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, weirdly, we knew a lot of the same people, even though she was in Florida and I was in London. But then eventually we met again in New York. She'd moved there. Her band had a record deal with a really cool label in New York, but then that all blew up. And she's kind of the norm, really.
And do you both jam at home, or is that just parked now? Yeah.
Nah, it's parked, yeah. She's, I don't know, she can write lyrics and songs, but I'm not interested in that. But no, we don't want to be like a middle-aged Sonny and Cher. It's pretty horrible, really.
Did you on the songwriting thing? So you never got involved in the songwriting, so
not lyrics, but music.
With music. Okay. Yeah. And how? Because obviously that Swervedriver is all your own material. You never did any covers or anything like that, did you? It was all your own stuff. So
only very obscure ones. So yeah.
But how was the dynamic of that conception then, that writing?
It's mainly so there's 2 guitarists, drummer and me, bass player. Main guitarist who sang, he was essentially the centre of it and the main songwriter. He'd write all the lyrics and most of the musical ideas, but quite often they were just ideas that needed to be taken in another direction. So, yeah, overwhelmingly it was his sort of baby. But, yeah, musically we all sort of threw our hat in the ring, really.
And what is that? So he would like have some lyrics and come up with an idea, and then you're all in the session together, and you're sort of working it out. Is that what it is?
Well, the lyrics, he would just, he'd have his book, and we never interfered with it really. But you'd see he'd be looking at.
Well, you have to put it to the music though, don't you? So how do you?
Yeah, well, well, you can work around it. I don't know. I don't know anything about lyrics really. It just happens, but yeah, I mean, a riff can be sitting around for 3 years. Every rehearsal you might go in and he'd be like, bah, bah, bah. And eventually, after 3 years, that might become a song.
Finally found something to put that with, and yeah.
I think that riff that I just did was "Step Into Christmas" by Steps.
Okay, it's an interesting choice.
Don't know how that got in my head. Yeah. So yeah, it was a collective kind of process, but the main driver of it was the singer guitarist. But yeah, I would say anyone who's trying to get a band together, you've got to have a leader.
Yeah,
trying to be collective about it. It's a nice idea, but it really doesn't work. You've got to have a leader. And Adam was a little bit reluctant to be the leader, so that was kind of a little bit of a tension. It's like, I'm sorry, mate, you are.
Yeah.
Someone bored with.
I suppose uniquely, like the Beatles famously, you kind of had two leaders there, didn't you, really? And the others chipping in, but that was famously two leaders. So it's interesting, isn't it, Dominic? But you're right, probably.
Yeah.
Largely, it is.
Yeah, so the Beatles did have two leaders, yeah. And I guess the Rolling Stones, Brian Jones, before he died, thought he was the leader, but obviously Mick Jagger was really the leader.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got to be someone's got to control this stuff, and it's got to be someone in the creative side. I feel sorry for anyone who's a manager, band manager, horrible, thankless task, because no one wants. They've probably got a better idea of what this band should be doing and how you convey that to the fragile creatives. And it's very hard.
And there's no school of how to create a band, right? So there's no.
Well, I don't know. There probably is these days, isn't there? Like,
actually,
rock school type places.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Maybe they're amazing. It just seems all wrong to me, really, because I think. I worry about the future of rock and roll. I worry about...
Does it keep you up at night? So.
It does. It worries me immensely. It's too... I don't know. You've got to have a struggle or a reason to... There's some sort of escapism or whatever. There's got to be some driving force that makes you want to do that. And I don't know. I think it's all a bit too easy, really. It's like, I want to be a rock star, Jimmy. Yeah, go to school in Brighton for 3 years. So they'll teach you how to be a rock star.
Yeah.
It's not a career option. It's something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you're right. I said there's no school, but actually there probably is, isn't it? It's just,
There is, yeah. I mean, even some, I think Amy Winehouse went to somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And, she'd have been incredible and then, tragic, whatever happened to her. But yeah, I think she went to one. I don't know. I mean, my nephew went to study performance music, I think, and production at university. And it just sounds like a great skive to me, really, if I'm honest. But it's a great place to maybe meet other like-minded people and then go and do a band properly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then moving on, so obviously you decide that enough's enough on that side, and then, but how do you get a normal job Steve, how do you do? How do you come and sit down at a job? Did you have any? Did you have any goals there, or were you just going, right, I'm just going to get into something and go there?
No, I never had a safety net or a plan B or anything like that. So, it was a little bit tricky, that transition. I ended up getting a job in, I was lucky enough to be living in Chelsea, Fulham area at the time. And I started working for this independent wine wholesaler in Kings Road, which was incredible. I mean, I liked wine, and I was interested in becoming even more of a aficionado in wine. I like luxury goods, so I like luxury selling, and I like being part of the sales process of something that people enjoy and that's fun, It's a nice thing to sell to people. So yeah, I did loads of exams in wine over the course of a couple of years, drank an awful lot of really expensive Burgundy and Bordeaux. But then after a while it was, I really wanted to move out of London, really. You get to a certain age and it's like, well, why am I here,
Yeah.
It's like I don't go to clubs, pubs, fed up with like being stuck in traffic all the time, So I just wanted to move out of London, found ourselves for various reasons in Suffolk, and actually saw Invision really early on as a company.
Did you?
Probably in like 2005.
Yeah.
And I dropped a CV across to you people, and I didn't even get a reply.
I wasn't there at the time, Steve, so it's not my fault.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Oh my God.
But, so you're on my radar because I was like, this looks really interesting.
Yeah.
What these people do. But I started doing something else.
I guess they probably looked at it and said, God, band, wine, this could be dodgy conversion, right?
Yeah, the CV was, didn't really have anything to offer, to be fair. And, everything I'd been involved in was related to booze and free booze.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't drink anything at all now.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah. But, eventually found out that Midwich were not too far from where I was living, and, got some really good grounding in general kind of AV there. Like you say, the commercial and the pro audio.
So with your audio background, how was that jumping into that? So you, what, because it gives you an understanding, doesn't it? It gives you, it's not AV, but it gives you an understanding of audio production, and
I suppose so, yeah. And probably talking to the manufacturers and the dealers who, I think, when you're talking about power or cabling or something, regardless of whether that's audio, video or what other technology, I think when you've been a bit hands-on with it, you kind of understand a little bit more, mounts, tripods, how they work, why they're important, all the accessories. When you've been sort of on the road and dealing with that, it's almost like there's an install every night,
Absolutely. That is, isn't it? You've got to get there, you've got to set up, it's got to sound right, isn't it? Otherwise you're going to get stuff thrown at you, so it's pretty critical. So,
setting up correctly, and and when we do events, actually, I've got to say our team are really good at packing down neatly as well at the end of the day.
It was drilled into us.
Yeah. It's really good. Yeah. It's nothing that would annoy me more than, a badly packed event. Because, after a gig, you've got to get this much gear into this much van. Everything has its place. Got to be neat.
Yeah.
And,
if you had some drinks along the way, that's tough, right? As well, it makes it that much trickier. So,
yeah, I don't know. The roadies, we did have roadies, thankfully. They seem to be able to do that stuff in whatever state they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you did eventually find your way to Invision.
Yeah.
I know there was a little bit of a break in between, but you came on board, and obviously we clearly see your passion for audio. I Oh, right. So you came on board with the audio product straight away, didn't you? I think because that was it. I think they were.
Yeah.
They were all audio, weren't they? There's an audio creative package, but
I mean, that was kind of very specifically what I wanted to do, really.
Yeah.
So, if you'd have had me looking after the waterproof tellies, it might not have
been 6.5 years. Yeah.
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 No, from the off, I had some great brands to work with. Obviously, I still work with Origin very closely, Origin Acoustics. Fantastic speakers, fantastic people. And I share their ethos that we're,
Well, they like a party as well. So
I don't necessarily like a party. I respect the fact that they like a party.
Yeah.
And I respect the fact that they're selling fun,
Yeah.
And that's what we do. Everything we sell is ultimately for someone's enjoyment. And it's fun, things that make a noise nicely. Yeah, it's a great thing to be involved in.
I like the subjectiveness of audio. It's never the same as it, and the opinions are never the same. But and whilst I guess that could be frustrating as well, but actually that means you can have an influence, can't you? You can convey a passion, and you can put some technicalities in there and everything as well as.
I mean, audio is subjective to a degree, but there is some physics that is non-movable. But it's a little bit like wine in a way, really. It's like, the terroir of this and the grape of this and the age of this and the cellar of this means it must be great. Is it? I don't know. It's up to you to decide.
Well, but then there's taste, isn't there? So that's the variant that comes in.
There is taste,
which is it's a good comparison. We've not done that analogy before. The wine one.
I never even thought about it before.
I like that.
Yeah, we'll remember that.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of manufacturers have kind of accommodated individual taste in a not great way. I think testing has shown that people like to hear like an EQ curve that's the smiley face, lots of bass and not too much of that annoying middle bit. Lots of bass and lots of sparkly high end. So you've got, but that's just awful. You can't have that. Speakers needs to be natural, flat. Audio products should only deliver what is being sent to them. So, there are some brands that have a certain kind of character curve, and that's not something that should be applauded. A flat frequency response, allowing the creative's exact work to come through. If the guitar in that section is meant to be really biting and aggressive, then that's how it's supposed to be. So, manufacturers kind of contributing to creative control worries me.
Yeah, interesting.
But none of ours do that.
Oh, that's good to hear, Steve.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just. So, obviously, when we're doing our working for home bits, and I see we've got the video on in the background, and you've got the guitars over the wall in the background, everything like that. Are they ornamental nowadays, or do you pick them up? And
no, I do pick them up. Yes, I've got too many. Yeah, I have to dust them. Yeah. There are too many actually. Yeah.
Is that become a collecting sort of thing? Is that your collecting hobby thing now? We've all got it. We all collect something in some way.
It could be worse, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I do need to trim it down actually, but I don't know where to start. Really?
I remember you telling me you did because Chris Dawson, who retired from us last year, his goal was to belatedly learn the guitar. So you did some searching out for him, didn't you? I think. And
I did, but
that's a passion, right?
Well, I hooked him up with a really nice guitar we saw secondhand locally to us, and I wish I'd kept it for myself, really, because it's. Yeah, he brought it around. He was like, "Here it is," and I was like, "Chris, that is fantastic. You are going to get on beautifully with that," and I think he is.
Have you heard from him? Do you know he's getting on?
He's been he's doing it properly, you know. He's not trying to overreach himself, and he's trying to get his finger pads firm, get his muscle memory kind of installed. Yeah, he's doing it properly, I think.
Could you be a teacher?
No,
It's just
I don't think I could. No, I think I would burn my own bridges by saying, look, I've got to be honest. I really don't see this.
Yeah.
You know, let's not waste each other's time. Go and get a proper job.
Yeah.
Or maybe the keyboard.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't think I'm good enough, but I'm instinctive enough to know when someone else.
But I think teaching's a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, I think in every discipline, being a teacher of something is quite a unique job. I think it's, something you.
It is, yes.
It's a skill set, and you, to be really they've got it all, haven't. But,
yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've got that, and no, I wouldn't want to do that.
So you get some of your audio music fix at work, so that's good. That helps. But also, I think I remember we were on some journey back somewhere, weren't you? And you're still very keen in listening out music, latest music, or I suppose traditional or latest, or what do you listen out to for now?
Actually, on one level, our colleague Nick has been educating me in classical music.
Oh, is he?
Which
Right.
I've always liked some. You hear some in a film, you're like, oh, that was lovely. What was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
So Nick's been kind of my chaperone into the world of classical music. So I understand that I like Debussy, but I don't like Schubert. Mahler's all right.
Why is that, by the way?
Why is it? I don't like big brassy kind of or choral. I like gentle, kind of subtle, lark ascending. Ralph Vaughan Williams. We live out in East Anglia. It's essentially the soundtrack to a misty morning in Norfolk. Really, check it out, people.
I will.
But yeah, aside from that, I listen to Six music all the time. Really, just to try and get a sniff of something new and exciting going in there.
What was when we were talking? You were saying, "Oh yeah, there was." I can't remember because I was going to look it up afterwards. But my memory's terrible. There's this hip hop
Little Sims.
That you was listening. But what surprised me is your varied taste was.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't really say what's good or bad classical music. I know what I like in classical music, but I've even though hip hop is nothing to do with indie rock and roll, I feel when there's something really good comes along, I'm like, oh wow. And Little Sims, who I hadn't heard of until a couple of months ago, she's had 4 albums out. She's not a newbie. She's just not on the white 56-year-olds radar particularly. But yeah, I've got really into her. It's really powerful and exciting music, as well as funny and deep but funny lyrics. She's brilliant.
Is Six music the drive into the office music? Is it? Is that what you're?
Yeah, if I could get off the newsagents podcasts, which have been getting in my way, really. Emily Maitlis and John Soper. It's a great podcast. It's the news, but not from the BBC or some other. Anyway,
podcast. I've not heard of that one.
It's good, but I've got to get back to music, really.
Oh right. Okay.
So yeah, the last month it's been like I haven't been really getting enough music. But yeah, Six music. That's my jam.
Right.
And I've got to say, the only new music I've been hearing that excites me has been solo females, to be honest. So if there is a future in music, I think that's where it lies.
Oh, right. Okay.
Marika Hackman, fantastic. Just guitar and voice. Billy Martin, she's been around for a while. But just making beautiful noises. I can't think of any bands that are exciting me at the moment. So, I'd like, I just don't want to be stuck listening to what I listened to when I was 18, Yeah, but not that I don't listen to that, but you got to keep your horizons broadened, really.
Yeah, I need to find other work because I have a very eclectic music taste. There's no rhyme or reason to it really, but I find myself shazamming things from watching a movie and then going, oh, I like that, and then just reminding myself of stuff. But yeah, so
I found some good things from shazamming.
Yeah,
and I think actually there's quite a lot of better incidental music used in films these days. It's not mainstream pop music. Some of the more interesting experimental music finds its way into movies, so that's quite a good way.
Yeah.
So I've got my Shazam Spotify playlist. I've got to say, Tidal's. I wish it was linked to Tidal because it's so much better sound.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I wish it was linked to something other than Apple Music, actually, because I'm.
Oh, right.
Are you Apple Music?
No, I used iTunes for years and years and years, and I've still got a physical iTunes library. So,
are you not using a streaming platform?
I use Tidal.
Oh, you do? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just love it.
Look at high res. Well, because of high res, or
high res. Yeah, you got the master quality audio options. It's just a really deep library, a really nice interface. I just love it, and they pay their artists the correct amount.
You're after your royalties. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, I get pennies every quarter, which is even when it is literally pennies, like excellent.
Absolutely.
But the Spotify just absolutely rip people off, really. And I know it'll change, and it has been changing.
It does appear that there was some kickback, wasn't there? And it does appear that that's improving. But
but Tidal just sounds so much better, really. I think that is a fact. But I mean, it really. I don't listen to my own music very often, really, purely for research purposes. But honestly, if I listen to the last record we did, if I listen to that on Spotify, I just find it unlistenable, really. It's just their particular kind of downgraded MP3 format. I mean, the nature of MP3 is it's a genius invention. I would make the file this small, and it will assume some of the other bits we've cut out. And it's like, I can listen to something I don't know very well, that won't bother me. But when I know it intimately, I'm like, oh my God, what have you done with that bit, And it doesn't understand like pauses. It's, there's a space. It's got no subtlety as to how it interprets details of music.
So one of the reasons why you don't like listening to your old things back is because it's not how you understand it to be. Is that the sort of?
I mean, generally, even in the best conditions, it's a little bit uncomfortable listening to something you've done.
Yeah.
Like it is listening to your own voice back. And
I don't listen to these.
No. And they were never done like perfectly. No one ever left sessions 100% satisfied. It just doesn't happen for financial and whatever reasons, So you're never really happy. So when you listen to something back, it's always disappointing. But it's just even more disappointing on Spotify.
Yeah.
What was interesting recently, actually, I probably our least successful and probably worst album, if we're being honest, which for whatever reason was actually mastered by a guy called George Marina in New York, who I didn't realise was kind of a big deal, and he mastered Stevie Wonder's Innovisions and loads of great stuff over the last 40 years. And in terms of the sound of it, it's amazing. It's an amazing sounding record. Unfortunately, the actual quality of the art isn't quite there, but the mastering is amazing. And the continuity of that, wherever you play it, in the car, on a Nest, it always sounds the same. But the later record that didn't have George Marino it was mastered okay.
Right.
Sounds different everywhere you go. So yeah, and it particularly sounds terrible on any Spotify platform. But yeah, on a good system and Tidal.
Well,
all right.
And that sort of brings us nicely probably to we audio product manager, but not high performance audio product manager, which is what we're about, right?
Yeah.
That is, that's our, he's talked about luxury markets and everything in there, but that listening to it and with the quality and the performance behind it, that's what we're about, and that's really what you enjoy, don't you, to make sure you can have it, and that's why you listen to, for example, to Tidal.
Absolutely, yeah, just to be able to replicate what the creative team who made that, how wanted it to be heard, or heard and seen.
I think it's important to say at this point we are taking no royalties from Tidal whatsoever, apart from your own, but that has nothing to do with Tidal. There's no...
I think play more than 18 seconds of one of my songs.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
High resolution audio, I think it's really important. Well, music's become really convenient, but it's because, the quality's gone down. It's like, I suppose it's obvious, you've got a million songs in your device in your pocket, but convenience, unfortunately, the quality's just gone down. And just to be one of those old geezers, so has the quality of recorded music. The best recordings were made in the 70s, and it was those old dinosaurs, Steely Dan, Joni Mitchell, and all those people. It was just the best sounding analog stuff, and it was done at a time before editing kind of saved them, so they had to do it well. So yeah, I think it's a shame. That's why the future is solo artists and hip hop, as far as I'm concerned. A band just can't be captured in the same way.
That's interesting.
But we'll see.
Yeah. But what we do have now is we have amazing cinema audio now, don't we? I mean, I know obviously we buy it because we have Trinoff, and well, I don't think we need to go into it too much, but actually with the audio and the immersive sounds you're getting from cinema now, and what we can reproduce is unbelievable.
It's mind-blowing, yeah. I mean, we watched Top Gun Maverick the other week down at our cinema, and I got to say I'm not a fan of that as a film.
I remember. I won't say what you said.
Where's the script? Are there any actual actors in this? Oh, absolutely appalling, but by Jove, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, the soundtrack's pretty good as well, and the whole mix. The whole thing is mastered fantastically, and the sound of the aeronautical scenes, just, mind-boggling.
So I've got another one that I think we need to engineer our way down there for, because I started watching, and then I thought, actually, I'm going to stop this here. The Elvis, the Elvis biopic. Have you ever seen that, Zia?
I have seen it. Well, but I watched it on TV at home.
Yeah, so I started doing that, and I thought
on my 3.1 system.
Well, I quite say I'm going to ruin this if I continue doing this, so I didn't get very far, because I just thought actually the imagery looked really good, and then I thought, because I don't have the right setup, so I thought, I'm going to ruin this. This needs to be watched properly.
Yeah.
So I thought,
I have ruined it.
So you ruined it.
Yeah, I didn't think
it was around. Oh, okay.
I thought the film focused far too much on Colonel Tom Parker, I guess, because
Tom Hanks played
it. So therefore, yes.
Yeah.
I thought the kid who played Elvis was good. And what I really liked about it was that...
bear in mind, I haven't seen it.
They had this isn't no interest to you whatsoever. They had the correct guitar. I knew he was doing the 68 Special.
Right.
Guild V or 5 in cherry wood. Right, good. You haven't messed that up.
You got that right. The detail. It's all in the detail, right?
It is. Yeah. The Yeah, I thought it wasn't how I'd have done a film about Elvis, but no one else asked me.
I was thinking of it from the sound point of view, and so that's why I stopped, because I really didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't get very far, but I thought the imagery looked good.
Yeah,
and then I was thinking, I bet this will sound amazing. So that's
I think you're right.
Thought,
yeah,
I won't do what you did. It wasn't a lot. Yeah,
I've ruined it.
Yeah,
but now I'm happy to see it again in the proper setting of a 32 speaker cinema room.
Yeah. So that sounds like one for the
absolutely. And just in case I'm sounding too cool, who's the guy? Who's the Canadian guy? Little Frank Sinatra fellow. Bublé,
yes, yeah.
I do just want to add that clip of Bublé doing and I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
On it. If you ever go down to our cinema, do ask to see a Bublé clip.
Yeah, I mean, you've done nothing for your cool status now, by the way.
I just honestly, yeah. I mean, it just sounds amazing in that room. The mastering of that live performance, the 48-piece orchestra or whatever he's playing with, sounds phenomenal. I don't think Ian's that impressed with it though. So please ask to see the Bublé clip. And if next time you're down,
it'll annoy Ian, so that's probably worth it, isn't it? So
But yeah, hearing something like that, that just totally changed my opinion about Bublé. That was the excitement for me. I think every time I go down to Bracknell, I have to see it.
But that's about quality, and again, isn't it? It's not necessarily artist. It is, but it's about
everyone in the game, isn't it? From the singer to the drummer to the recording engineers to whoever mastered that to how it was processed for, consumption in the cinema that we have. Everyone in the chain had done a really good job, and it all went to make Bublé look good. But actually, reluctantly, I guess he is good,
If you like that thing, no. But
I've never heard anything else from Bublé that I like or can even tolerate. Just made that clear. But that one clip blew me away.
So just ask her that clip. That's what we ask. Okay, great. Well, Steve, look, it's been a fascinating insight. That's really good. Really, our first insider series on Turn Up the Tech.
First of many.
Absolutely. Hopefully first of many. So great. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And just for everyone to know that this podcast, like all others, are available on all major platforms, and searching by Turn Up the Tech. And don't forget, importantly, to be sure to follow us on all socials at Invision UK. To the next podcast. Thank you very much.